I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. We'd like to welcome Zui to the show. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, I appreciate you coming
Thanks
on.
for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello, I'm Zui. I am a multilingual explorer, and I like my own fair share of roguelike and roguelite games, and occasionally I do a whole bunch of yapping on languages and linguistics.
As you're one of those folks that I really envy because you have different languages you can choose from, and I've just got my bad English.
I wouldn't say that I'm proficient in many languages. I would kind of say I'm not really confident in a lot of them, but I can read, I can understand them better than I can say and speak and listen.
Yeah, that's true. But I always kick myself for not learning either Spanish or French when I was younger. Would have been a lot easier than trying to do anything like that now. But it's so. When did language become something that you were interested in?
I think it was introduced to it like very early on. So I think back when I was a kid, my parents did introduce me bits and bobs of like Japanese. And then in secondary school, I think it's like middle or junior high school in America, right?
Yeah.
Where I was introduced to when I took up Arabic as a third language.
Oh.
Back where I come from is we are pretty mostly bilingual in education. So
we.
So that's why I took up like Arabic as a third language.
Yeah.
And after completing that course, I ended up taking French. And then I ended up moving abroad, and language learning has become not just a necessity; it's also become an interest, and that has stuck on ever since.
So, how many languages would you say you're able to understand?
I want to say I really want to lowball and say two, like my two native tongues.
Yeah. But if you were if you weren't lowballing, how many would you say?
Can I just play safe and say two?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like, oh gosh, I just can't. I just can't say if I'm really fluent or anything like that.
Well,
I mean, even now in English, it's like there's a whole bunch of like slang terms that come in and out.
Oh yeah.
And it's also a challenge to like pick them up. So.
Oh, it is. It's a challenge anyway. If that's your first language, it's a tough challenge to do. And then you talk about just English as a language. Is it American English? Is it British English or Australian English? There's a lot of different ways to do that too. It's not quite like Chinese, where there's so many different versions or that sort of thing. But it still changes from place to place. What would be the language that you would love to be fluent in but aren't yet?
Oh gosh, that's so many. Okay, so I really want to go for like the how to say, a language that hits close to home. So that I would say would be Bahasa Melayu. The Austronesian, language family, the language family that encompasses Indonesian, Malay, even stuff spoken in Taiwan or even in New Zealand. They are perhaps my most favorite language family, and I thought I would really want to be fluent in at least one of them.
Yeah,
and so.
Yeah, is that one of the native tongues, or is that one that was developed fairly recently? I believe they pronounce it talk pidgin now. Is that what they pronounce it, or something like that? It used to be called like pidgin English, which was a very rude thing to say about it. But so where did that language you're talking about directly come from? That
Bahasa
Indonesia?
Melayu. Bahasa Melayu is mainly spoken in Malaysia, Singapore,
Mm.
and Brunei Darussalam.
Ah, okay.
So yeah,
Yeah. It's amazing to see how even now, with the world as small as it is, and being able to talk to anybody on the other side of the planet when you want to now, um, that that language isn't more taught. That different languages aren't inherently taught in schools. Um, you would think that somebody would be really wanting to be able to talk with at least a huge chunk of the world, like basic Chinese or something like that.
yeah. I think what happens is there is like the need to learn a language out of necessity, or a need to learn a language out of like interest. There's like two different schools of thought here. Like
Mhm.
so so many parts of the world are like connected by English nowadays,
Mhm.
such that within the Anglosphere,
Mhm.
in America, Canada, and countries like this, there is pretty much less of a less of a need to teach or like or focus on foreign languages, and that is something that I see that's it's a real shame. Like it is language learning is difficult, but it is fun.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of patterns and things to learn from it.
Oh, definitely, definitely. From
Yeah,
English, American English to say uh, Mexican Spanish is tough enough to figure out. uh, and and then French, of course, is complete. I can almost kind of figure out what somebody's talking about in Spanish. Mm,
that's
but
pretty nice.
but if you get to French, it's very tough because there's not a lot that sounds the same as English, and you can't. It's a whole different kettle of fish. Um, are there languages that you find a little bit easier because they're a bit closer together as far as words and how word shapes are?
I think there's yeah, I've written about this one before. So in many charts there's like this, how long it takes to achieve proficiency in a certain language,
Hmm.
that kind of stuff. Many of those tend to focus on like the Anglosphere. And and so I did one for the Sinosphere as well, in like if you're a native Chinese speaker, which ones you would find it easier to learn and pick up. So personally, I find that Hokkien,
Hmm.
Hakka, Cantonese are like somewhat easier to pick up from my end.
Hmm.
Perhaps even Japanese too, mainly because I can recognize some of the kanji
Oh wow!
and kind of associate the stroke order and stuff like that.
Boy, that's hey,
But
that's
granted,
and that
Japanese is different, way
yeah,
different from Chinese, but like,
yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
that's doing some work if you can understand. You can put that together. I tried a little bit to try and figure out a little bit about the kanji, and I just this looks exactly the same to me. Why? How is it different? But I imagine some folks look at English that way too, and when they're trying to learn it, that there are some things that are impossible. Uh, do you find
Yeah.
yeah, do you find that English has a lot of times not enough words to describe things?
In a way, there's okay. So in English, I think there's like some bits where it'll be like ambiguous, right? So if you say like we are going on vacation,
Hmm.
um, the we can include or exclude the listener, the person you're speaking to.
Right.
So in English, we don't really like differentiate between this sort of this sort of stuff, whether or not it includes the listener or excludes the listener.
Hmm.
But in languages like Bahasa Melayu, there is like a different pronoun where we use one that would include and one would exclude the listener.
Right. Right. Yeah. You can. There's so many words that sound the same, or at least, or some words that are spelt the same but pronounced differently, or and there's
Yeah.
in I would imagine somebody coming in and trying to learn it would like, why? How do you even get by with this language? Um, it's not. You. I think you brought it really to the fore by saying the inspecificness of it in a lot of instances. Um, I find it fascinating that there in other languages besides English that there are such specific words for specific items or situations
Yeah.
that maybe don't come up so much in the United States, but would in other countries. But but English speakers just don't have the words to describe it.
Yeah, in a way, it's just like some nuances that's that might want that some speakers might want to communicate better.
Hmm.
So I guess that's how they develop. I can't really remember. It is very much in the realm of like it's a lot of linguistics. There's a lot of linguistic stuff behind that,
Hmm.
and even so, we're still trying to understand how different patterns come out to this day.
Yeah.
So yeah, so yeah, different cultural necessities. There's like environmental stuff. All of these can like affect what nuances are more, you know, more discreetly communicated. I don't think I can convey this part like accurately because it could step into the realm of like, well, a certain topic known as Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, which is a really touchy subject, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't want to step on, that's fine. But I haven't heard of it, so believe me, if you're worried about me, I'm not going to be offended by it.
I so I think in short, there's this theory. No, wait, no, I want to say theory. Hypothesis. That's the one.
Okay.
That goes like, well, the language you speak determines how you think and stuff like that. It's something that they call it. They also like to call it linguistic relativity and these kinds of like linguistic concepts.
Mm,
I tend to take it with like a huge pinch of salt because I wouldn't say I agree with like the points that the arguments are highlighted in the hypothesis itself. There's
yeah.
like a lot of different literature that goes for and against it,
Hmm.
and it's not something that we can test so easily,
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
mean,
would say.
I would think that if you brought that up to somebody, I mean, at face value, it sounds plausible, and I can probably think of a lot more instances where that makes sense, or as opposed to what it if it didn't make sense. But there's always exceptions, um, and and when you talk about, I mean, as long as you're not equating it necessarily to intelligence, um, that's I think that makes a lot more sense because um, how intelligence is measured is kind of a whole gift basket in itself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and yeah, that is definitely gonna step into really controversial territory there.
yeah. I mean,
So yeah,
if you're looking at
I tend to lean more towards the side of like, okay, we all see the world the same way, but how we express it varies between us,
hmm.
varies between the languages that we speak.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's the most eloquent way uh, some linguists have put it as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, right now I'm reading this book by a really known um, linguist called John McWhorter.
Hmm.
It's called The Language Hoax, and it kind of like tries to break down this, hypothesis and proposes, arguments against it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
It's a nice read.
yeah. And any theory is going to have that. I mean, you're going to have pros and cons, and that particular theory is going to be hard to prove one way or another. uh, I can understand it, but as long as there's as many exceptions as I think there would be to it, it'd be very tough to make that concrete. But I think you can go back to um, some of the very early writings, and even including some I not throwing any particular religion up there, as I don't do that in this program, but a lot of the early writings were religious texts, and others that people are still trying to decipher now, and
Oh yeah.
try to figure out what they meant 3,000 years ago when they put this down. Um, that is it's like a code breaking to me. It's
Yeah.
yeah it and again I just kick myself for not expanding my own vocabulary by at least trying to learn a little bit about other languages. Um, do you?
I would say like in terms of these writing, there's a lot of like patterns and stuff
Mm,
to be wary of because I think I think one of the nicest accomplishments that there is, in deciphering certain, ancient writing systems is I think to me it would be like the cuneiform ones because
mm,
different languages have these kinds of cuneiform,
mm,
and there's also different time periods in which this cuneiform writing was used. So you not only were you like looking at different languages using this similar looking characters, but also these characters changing over time,
mm.
and that definitely involved like some sort of like you know a lot of pattern recognition and things like that. It's decipherment is something I'm trying to read up and appreciate.
Mm. Yeah, it's like having a new word puzzle every day to try to figure out. And I'm a crossword puzzle guy and a Scrabble playing guy, and I like words. I try to use the right ones anytime I can. Um,
I think you might enjoy this game, which I have played before. It's called Chants of Senna.
mm,
It is an indie game where that is inspired by, say, the was it Fable? No, it's the legend. I can't remember what like the precise term is, but
mhm.
it's inspired of the Tower of Babel,
Oh, okay.
and so that's like there's like some language that you're supposed to decipher, and you are and it's an entire puzzle game in itself. I think you enjoy that,
I probably would.
and
I probably
yeah.
would. Is that one of those that you would play on stream, or are
I
there?
have played on stream, so
Yeah, yeah. As
I
a
would say like maybe don't watch the VODs for like spoilers. I really want you to like, appreciate the game,
okay.
and the process of deciphering.
I'll take a look at that and see what the budget is for it first, and then go from there. Uh, so how did you get involved in streaming in the first place?
Uh where I where I started, I think it was back in like 2019.
Uh-huh.
I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna like try a little bit and see if I like it. So I started off with a game that I once played a lot of, which was Splatoon 2. And yeah, so I was pretty much an on and off thing because I was trying to balance it between my uni
Hmm.
and uni obligations
Right.
and streaming. So I didn't really do it really often. So I ended up, liking it, and over time I tried to like manage my time better and, got myself a nice little mic
Mm.
that I'm using to this day
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
expanded the entire thing.
But
I
once,
didn't really get into VTubing until like last year though.
yeah. Well, what do you enjoy about VTubing as opposed to maybe going on with a camera or not not showing anything at all other than talking on camera? What's the difference for you?
I find myself to be a very private person, but I kind of wanted to have like an image sort of associated with, what I do. So, what happened was, okay, I was trying to like find a proper middle ground for between like being a full-on face cam streamer and like a faceless channel.
Mm,
And yeah, so VTubing came into the picture. And it took a while to get like the entire ball rolling because it has been on my mind like 4 years ago.
yeah,
And I was kind of like uh trying to decide on what kind of appearance I want to take on. So
yeah.
yeah.
You want to do it right once you get up there, and you want to be comfortable with it when you go up there too.
Yeah.
I mean, were you comfortable once you picked up a microphone and started talking to people online?
I would say I was a bit I would say I was a bit nervous.
Hmm.
Like there is definitely a lot more stuff I have to pay attention because the mic is hot
Yeah.
and everything is live.
Oh
There's
yes.
not a lot of room to like take back and things like that. There's no such thing as, well, we're just gonna cut it there and we'll
Yeah.
edit that out in post. No,
Yeah.
that's none of it.
Yeah. The 35 years in radio proved that to me. There's plenty of times where I stuck my foot directly in my mouth
Yeah.
in over those
So I think
years.
when I first started, I was just nervous on what to talk about. There's
Hmm.
like this entire commentary bit
Right.
that I have to like pay attention, and then my mind is so locked into the game that like I tend to forget what I'm saying or like lose my train of thought. And I think I still have like that kind of stuff like to today.
That would be that's fun to watch sometimes though, from an audience standpoint. You get so much into the game and suddenly that train just derails. It just kind of trails
Yeah.
off into nothing.
Especially in the height of the moment, you just like
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have to like focus on this and like tunnel vision into the game and just like absolutely lock in there.
But what? Well, with that, how about dealing with chat? Was that natural to you, or did you have to figure? Did you have to settle into it, or figure out a way to get into it?
Sorry, could you repeat
Yeah,
the
working with chat, having somebody there to talk with, and during your streams, um, did it become? Was it natural for you to interact with chat right away, or did you have to learn a technique for it?
um so okay, so there's definitely like different types of chatters. So there's like there's those who want to really hang out, and so I kind of like talk to my chat as if uh they're like uh they're like a friend or at least an acquaintance, someone
Hmm.
who's just here to hang out basically,
Yeah.
and just strike out some positive stuff. And well, I have tried webcam, cam streaming for a bit,
Hmm.
and I did get like, my own fair share of like the negative side of things.
Right.
And those kinds of stuff I just try to like okay, I didn't want to outright ignore them, but like
Right.
try to steer away from like certain topics or like certain things that I find too this too uncomfortable for me. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Well,
think I think it's something that I learned to pick up over time.
yeah. I mean, it's your
And yeah.
it's your place, and you get to make the rules. Like,
I
if
mean, to be fair, I don't have much use of my chat.
yeah, well, I mean, if someone comes in and immediately starts making you uncomfortable, you get to put the hammer down on them and get rid of them, and go
Yeah.
from there. It's you draw that line and you have to stay with it. Otherwise, it's going to be what use was it in drawing it in the first place if you don't stick with it. Um, so you talked about being a fan of roguelike games. Uh,
Yeah.
which one is your favorite from that genre, or do you have a favorite?
Oh goodness.
Too many to get to.
So I have okay, so the main sort of different types of roguelike slash light games I've had were like the deck builders.
Uh-huh.
So those are like the card games and stuff,
Right.
and the action ones.
Mm.
I would say for each category, like I would say I have had a lot of fun on Wild Frost when it comes to deck builders.
Mm-hmm.
And so far in the action one, I've only recently kind of like branched into that because I recently got an actual PC I can stream from. So
Yes.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah. But and
so there's not many action roguelike titles I've played so far, but I've had a lot of fun with Hades.
yeah. Yeah. I see a lot
Yeah.
of people have. There's something about I haven't played it myself, but watching other people play it, um, it seems like not only does it provide that action you want, but it also has a good bit of humor about it and doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah. And I think so there's like okay, so when it comes to like this bunch, I've been like streaming a bit of like Hades every now and then. And as we covered previously, I had like, this interest in exploring some of the early writing systems. I'm like really tempted to like at some point down the line
Hmm.
just commission myself a Bronze Age themed outfit, like model and stuff,
Yeah.
and just organize a stream where we just pretend that it's Bronze Age internet. I have I even got my own clay for my vacation. Like
Wow.
I brought like half a kilo of clay,
Oh.
and I'm so ready to make some clay tablets out of it. And just teach chat how to write Q&A, read and write certain types of Q&A form,
Oh my
and I
gosh.
think that would be fun.
That would be something to see. It'd be a little tough to play along with it unless you already had the clay tablets with you. But yeah, that would be interesting. A lot of that stuff is so fascinating to me. Yet I don't, and I put other stuff in my head and I don't follow up on it. Um, as far as those, still talking about the roguelike games, have you heard of a game called Luck Be a Landlord?
I have played it before.
Yeah. What do you think of it?
So, uh, okay, so it kind of was part of like the casino roguelike
Mm-hmm.
alongside the Balatro
Mm-hmm.
and Dungeons in Degenerate Gamblers. So that one is a blackjack roguelike. I kind of got them to not really got them together, but the latter two I got them. Sorry, I got Dungeons in Degenerate Gamblers and Luck Be a Landlord together.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to do like a little comparison on the stream before,
Yeah.
and while I like the pixel aspects of Luck Be a Landlord,
Yeah.
I find that I find that visually
Uh,
it's still very plain.
yeah.
I still enjoyed like the randomness aspect of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
although I've not really like went on to like go explore more into like the possible builds
Yeah.
I could get.
Oh man.
Uh,
I
I think I left off on like the eighth ascension or something. I forgot
uh,
what the term for ascension
yeah.
is in Luck Be a Landlord.
Right now the top is 20, and that's not easy. And you're making your way up there. I play it a lot. I mean, if I'm out in public and somebody pauses in a sentence, I'll pull it out and play it on my phone. Just
I'm
get
so tempted to get like a Steam Deck just to play like these kinds of games
Oh
and
yeah,
like, you know,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's when they put it on phone, I was like, sorry, Mrs. Interviews, I'm going to get this for my phone, and you can't stop me. And it's been playing it ever since. I actually got to the point a couple of times where the number of gold pieces or whatever they're calling that game went
Yeah.
from one side of the screen off the other side of the screen.
What?
Oh yeah, I broke the game, and
Oh, that's so nice.
it was there was so many. I had basically every modifier more than once. The modifiers um, for what was coming up on the slots, they had modifiers that were too big for their screens. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and I just kept spamming it over and over and getting something else. I sent that a copy of it to the to the person behind the game, and they were like,
Uh-huh.
"This is the most cursed thing I've ever seen."
Oh man, isn't it fun when the numbers go big?
Oh man,
Isn't
just
it fun when the numbers go big?
and they came up with. I had to try to figure out, after million, billion, trillion, what is the 13th level of that?
Oh
Like
man.
it was really funny, and that's when they introduced the scientific notation because I mean you could literally just keep going and never see the last few digits.
Wait, so they now have scientific notation in Lock Be a Landlord
Yeah,
now.
yeah. If you can turn that on or off, and you can get like one, and then the scientific notation like 17 or something on there. It's
Oh
pretty.
my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's.
Like step one is to figure out how to get to that point
Mhm.
because I've only done so like only Balatro, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I haven't gotten into
yeah.
that yet, but it looks like it's very addicting once you do get into it. Um, yeah, I get to the point where I've got certain types of builds that get there quicker. Um, it took advantage of every multiplier that you could possibly take advantage of, uh, and they've actually nerfed a couple of them over the the time I've had the game. It's a
Really,
little.
I only got them like I only got it like late last year. I think it was part of the winter sale or
Mm,
autumn sale. I can't remember, but
yeah,
yeah, I definitely have been missing out a lot of like the version history of it.
yeah. Well, it's one of those games being an independent game, and I imagine a lot of these games are independently produced. That
Hmm.
you don't have to go to a corporate guy and ask if you have permission to include something in the game. You can just set it out, and people will take the updates and go along with it. Do you find that a lot of the games that you end up playing are more of the independent variety or from a corporation?
Right now it's definitely mostly indie.
Hmm.
I can't remember the last time I actually streamed like a game that is not indie.
Hmm.
I'm not sure which ones actually count because I have played Risk of Rain 2.
Hmm.
I can't remember if that's indie. I'm not sure if Hades is indie, but if it is definitely a good game,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would say.
yeah. It's just interesting to see. Again, it's like you look at languages in different ways. You look at the people, how they're programmed and how they handle their games in different ways too. Um,
Yeah.
and there's certainly a difference between all that. Um, so getting back to the languages just for a second, you said that you learned Arabic. Am I right?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Um,
It's mainly modern standard Arabic, so
yeah. And
I
is
don't.
is there a basic Arabic, and then are there different versions of Arabic?
So the stuff that you would see in Arab news,
Hmm.
so things like Al Jazeera and stuff like that, they are all generally in modern standard Arabic.
Hmm.
But in each, different Arabic speaking country,
Hmm.
uh, they would normally use their own version of Arabic. So Arabic spoken in, say, Morocco would sound different from the Arabic spoken in Egypt, for example.
Mm.
So yeah, so what I've learned was just okay, I guess I can understand some news now, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
if I were to like go into the middle of say Cairo and like ask around, I would struggle
Well,
because I definitely cannot say like really understand the Egyptian variety of Arabic.
yeah, and that language spread in an odd way too. A lot of folks don't know how that kind of spread into Spain um, with the Caliphate in the hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Took over the,
Hmm.
the northern part of Africa and Spain at the same time. So there are, and other countries around the world have have picked up Muslim here and there, um, and I imagine each one of them has their different dialects.
Yeah.
Now, that would drive me out of my tree trying to figure all
Yeah.
that out. It's so it how long did it take you to be functional with Arabic? Because that seems like it be such a tough language. I don't understand how the sentences are put together or anything like that.
Okay, so at the time I picked it up, I would say I was pretty naive. I was like 12 when I made the decision that was like, well, made the decision. I was like, well, I'm gonna see if I can learn Arabic in like middle school. Alongside my two native languages,
Hmm.
and and I would say it was a real challenge. So, learning how the letters are written and joined is probably the least of my worries. But uh, the uh, the I would say the grammar part
Hmm.
was a challenge back then,
Hmm.
and it's something that the I would say the structure is something that I learned to appreciate years later, years after the fact,
Hmm.
because now they have like a um,
Yeah, more.
more how to say better understanding of
Yeah,
how languages work and stuff.
right.
I learned to appreciate certain patterns, after long after my course and stuff.
Yeah.
It was definitely a challenge because um back where I lived, I didn't have much in the way of, Arabic resources.
Right.
It was like what 2010 around there, so like,
The, the,
information wasn't really like
the,
I'll say resources weren't like as easily accessible
yeah,
compared to now.
the internet was not the same back then. No, as
Yeah,
a bit. No. And
and it was so by the time we got to like my second and third year of learning Arabic, it was like 2011, 2012,
wow.
um, and that was when I realized I needed to pick up a lot of vocabulary, and I just so you know what I felt compelled to like look at the news.
Mm,
And if you remember recent history,
yeah.
it was it was certainly a time to pick up a lot of political terms in
Yeah.
Arabic.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. It's probably the
And
most
I
the
was
most
like,
that you were going to be repetitively seeing anyway.
and I was like, I just want to learn how to say, I just want to learn how to, I don't know, write a basic essay in Arabic. Just give me the words. I want to pick them up
um, so
and stuff. Yeah, so it was definitely a experience
do you
back then.
do you find yourself now when you are trying to explain something to somebody, whether it's in language or anything else, um, switching up and using words from other languages as you try to explain it?
There are definitely times where I just don't know what the word is in a language that I want to express it in.
Yeah.
So like, there is so when I was back here visiting my family in during my vacation,
Hmm.
I was like telling them about the entire how Europeans don't have AC and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And they asked me like how I would keep cool during the summer. I just can't remember what the word is, and I just said Stoßlüften. It is basically the thing where you open your windows and like let the air circulate,
Yeah.
or liften.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
the
It's one.
basic form.
That's one of the few words from that language I recognize. I don't know why.
And it just dawned on me like after the fact that I think the word I was looking for was ventilate
Yeah. Yeah.
or something, just
Yeah.
air the room.
Yeah. But even then, the word you used is a lot more specific than ventilate. Um, it goes to a certain action. Um, and I think English, and a lot of times will be a lot more general in how it's trying to present it. And sometimes you have to use a lot more words or allegories or comparisons to get the point across. Well, at least I do anyway. But yeah, I just find it
I guess it
fascinating.
depends.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on how one would like to express it, because there's like a lot of different kinds of nuances that you might want to communicate.
Yeah.
And you want to embed that into the word choices you make.
Mm. So, do you, if I were to test you, I'm not doing that, but if I did, and I were to play a sentence or two of a certain language that you weren't familiar with, would you
Right.
would you be able to pretty much pinpoint where it came from?
Uh, I
Ge-
mean, I could try.
I mean, geographically, would be able to
I would say if it's Spanish, it's gonna be difficult
yeah, yeah,
because Spanish spoken in Latin America definitely varies from country to country.
oh yeah.
And the only thing I know is many people would love to make fun of Chilean Spanish for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Let's see.
yeah. Well, Argentina, Chile, and very South American Spanish is going to be different than Spanish in Madrid or even Puerto Rico or anything along those lines, or
Yeah,
New York for that matter. Is going to be completely different. Um, it's just because of how people are grown up, the areas that they live in, and I guess that kind of goes back to that theory you were talking about, where the language kind of molded itself to the society they lived in.
in a way, perhaps I would say.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
different influences in the by the culture and of the culture as well. So yeah, I would say.
yeah. So, are you at the point now with your streaming that you thought you'd be, or did you set any goals when you got started?
I think I didn't like set off like any quantitative goals. My goals were mainly qualitative. I kind of like I would say I'm more along the lines of like I just want to be satisfied with what I'm doing. So as long as I'm satisfied, I'm pretty much meeting my goals every year, stream and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
As long as you're enjoying yourself, and it definitely sounds like you are enjoying yourself, and folks can learn a lot and enjoy doing it while listening to you too, and watching what
Yeah,
you're doing on not only taking a uh, being with you as you're playing the games, but also learning some along the way, which is always good.
yeah,
And I'm glad to see people taking advantage of this medium to do things like that. Um,
yeah,
and I appreciate your effort in doing that. It's it while the world is getting smaller, we should be able to talk to each other a little bit better. I
yeah.
I would I would think, and you're definitely contributing to that. And I thank you so much for coming on. It's been great talking with you. And
It's also nice talking to you.
yeah,
Thank you for inviting me.
absolutely, we'll get you on again here soon and talk more about what's going on. We've got all of our links for Zui on the description for this interview. And again, it's absolute pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. And yeah, I definitely look forward to be back on here again.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.